tools associated with this repair: 1/4 inch T30, 8-inch 1/4 inch extension, 5-inch 1/4 inch extension, external Torx number 8 to hammer out the studs, quarter deep 10mm socket, short 13mm ratcheting wrench, a triple square 1/4 10, a pair of hose clamp pliers, 1/4 inch 7 hex, and a pick. I think you should be good.
Alrighty. And what was you saying? It was the oil on the start and stop with the test, oil test?
The oil consumption test. When you heard me start it up and you heard that rattle in the beginning, that's a bad camshaft adjuster.
Gotcha.
So you could just be low on oil. Obviously top up the oil, see what happens. If not, you have a bad adjuster. Before replacing the camshaft, I recommend an oil consumption test. Drain all the oil out of the car. Get the oil you're going to put in the car. Get the correct amount. Weigh that amount. Drive the car 1,000 miles. Drain the oil. Weigh that amount. If you're down more than a quart, you're going to need an engine. Unless you have some insane oil leak or the turbo is blowing. But 9 times out of 10, it's a failure.
All right. See you on the next.
Alright, what's up boys? We got a 2016 Passat here, CPRA engine code. Customer concern is leaking coolant. As fast as you put it in, it's coming out. We verified that, did a little pressure test. It's coming out of the water pump housing on this thing. That's actually pretty rare to see on this engine code. This has the standard old-time thermostat with the tiny pump housing, not the electronic like the new ones. So we're gonna go ahead, replace the water pump housing and replace the face while we're down in there. So let's get going. All right, start with the T30s.
Pulling the air box. Just seeing how efficient we can be with the moves we make. Try to get this done as fast as possible. Some people will cry about that.
And as accurately as possible. Alright, we're going to be taking the intake manifold off so we get a clear shot of it. This can be done by taking the throttle body and the front pipe out. I don't love doing it that way because these thermostats go bad so rarely that I like to be able to just see what I'm doing. This housing just feels a little unfamiliar when I'm working on it blindly, so I'd rather be able to see what's actually going on.
What are you unplugging down here?
Injector harness. Get that disconnected out of the bracket. Anytime I'm taking off these newer intake manifolds, I take the whole vacuum supply hose. Once we get it off, I'll show you why.
Just try to remember how you routed it. Well, how it's routed.
Oil filter. Unplug the position switch for the manifold.
Is that right in there? Pulling some 10s.
Some 10s.
110 right there. The other over there.
Okay, 7mm for the charge pipe. Right here for the support bracket.
Taking a pick, working that pipe.
Look at these studs here. I like taking the E8 inverted torques. You know, someone's probably going to say it's a gross misuse of the tool. I don't really give a shit. Tap it on. Tap it on a little harder. Pop that stud out.
So we're removing the stud to do what?
Well, it's going to make it easier to get the manifold off for one.
So easier to get off, and you replace them
it's
with...
just unnecessary. I'll just replace them with bolts.
Okay. And what was the part size?
What?
What was the...
E8.
E8?
E8. All right. Let's get your T30s out. The magnet is very helpful at this point. Take your thumb, spin this bumper out.
The bumper that connects to that
Support bracket. Yeah.
support bracket.
If it feels tight, reach your hand back, find the knock sensor harness, and lift up on it around the back of the water pump. I'll show you once it's out what that actually looks like. Oh, we got one more thing still on here. Almost forgot, we got one more T30 right here. Hold the fuel line to it. All right, so then you tip it up. Just get it tipped up. Take this bracket off. All right, so we got the manifold out now. This is the knock sensor harness I was just talking about. These are routed behind the water pump. They'll get pinched in there like that so you can't move the manifolds. Just gonna give it a little pop up out so you can feed a little bit of wire out to make it easier on yourself. All right, so we're down to the water pump area here. Disconnect this little clip off of that.
Actually, I don't mind this water pump. The one we did last was a pain.
Yeah.
It was like buried. Even though this is buried to the average person.
Let's loosen up this front pipe. Got a support bracket right here. T30. Okay. I got a catch band down there. Start catching what's left of the coolant. Make sure your cap is off. It's going to let more out. You're going to have less like air pockets developing in the system. So you can see that's pretty much just pure water coming out of there at this point. Got two T30s hold the water pump belt cover on. too. You can see how much it's been leaking. Okay, so we're pretty good here. We're gonna get this front pipe out of the way so we can see better and have a little easier time popping this guy out.
Took the cover off.
From when I was doing the pressure test on it, so now we're gonna get this front pipe out of here.
Cover's held on with what we got, 8 T30s and about 2 or 3 T45s. And that's the cover.
T25.
T25?
Not T30. All right, got a T30 for the support right there. We got a 7.
$7 right there.
Take a pick, kind of free it up. Okay.
With the lower one.
Lower rad hose out. Yep. So then you have your auxiliary coolant pump right here. This pump, there's a 10mm right up here.
See it in a second.
All right, so if anybody saw that, a little drop of water took out my $500 Snap-on electric ratchet. So, all right, the Snap-on has come back somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Drop of water be damned. All right, we're gonna take out this 1010 right here for that bracket. Take that bracket out, put that over here for safekeeping. All right, so now we're down to the main pump body. This harness right here, being able to move this around is the reason I took the 10mm off the auxiliary pump. It's trapped behind it if you keep the pump on. T30s we got to take off to get this housing out. This last one's blind. Okay, pop the belt off.
How often does this belt go bad?
I've only ever seen one.
Out of how many years?
A lot. And it was on a car with over 250 on it. Okay, here's our pump. Here's our leak. Basically just the housing let go. And it's just coming right past the gasket right there. Oh. It's also leaking out of the water pump, like to the point of no return out of the weep hole. I'm gonna clean up around the belt a little bit.
Corrosion, I would say.
Yeah, this thing's been leaking for a while to the point where it's just chunks in there.
You trying to pull the union?
Yeah. All right. There's no gasket material stuck to here. That's important to check for. We're good there. All right, here's our new housing. Here's our new pump face. All right, slide our union in. Fresh union always. All right, we have our new pump. This one's really easy to see where you're at, obviously, because it's missing about this much compared to the electric one. Okay, get your T30 started. Four, and number 5, this one's blind, remember that. Okay, we're good there. Take your auxiliary water pump now, put that back up on its bracket. There's a 10mm nut right here. Okay, got our 10, picked it up off the floor. Put back there right there.
10 right there.
Reach down if you can, grab the lower hose.
Lower hose that goes to the pump.
Yep, snap that on. Snap on that mid hose there.
Mid hose right there.
Take this guy. You don't want to tighten this one yet, just leave it kind of loose. Okay. Belt. Slide her up on.
In the process of sliding the belt on.
Point and a short 1/2" ratchet.
24 12-point short ratchet.
Down to the crank. Walk the belt on.
Is this one able? This one's not able to rock it in.
I don't like to rock it in because these, for whatever reason, the newer Union on the Gen 3s, like the later cars, is very prone to the seal rolling. Like very prone. Okay, we got our cover, clean the stuff out of the inside here, all the little crap in there. Get your 2 T30s. Okay, got our 2 T30s in there. At this point, we could keep going with the manifold. I'm not gonna though, because I don't want to take a risk. So I put this upper hose on. And we're gonna vacuum test this now.
Makes sense, because you don't want to get all the way to the end.
Yeah, and find out you have a leak. Like, at least if we're here, if we have a leak, we're 50% of the way there.
If you didn't have this fancy setup, how could you test it?
I mean, you could pressure test it. But really, if you pressure test it, you should have fluid in there to pressure test. This is not that fancy of a setup. If you're doing any kind of repairs on a modern vehicle to the cooling system, you really need to be using some sort of vacuum filler, whether it be electric or pneumatic. Those air pockets are the death of these things. So we're gonna let this thing sit here and see what happens. We got a good vacuum on it. We're holding a good vacuum. Let's fill her up.
Oh, so you...
Alright, cool, it's all filled up. Let's clean up this sealing surface for the manifold.
Who was your personal call? Would you do the cleaning or?
I would do the cleaning, yeah. This person declined the cleaning, but I will tell you they have, it's their first time in. They said they're going through a lot of oil. There's some minor leaks, nothing crazy. I offered them an oil consumption test. They declined it. They said they want just the bare minimum to stay running, so I understand. That's where we're at out here. Okay, get everything ready. I'm gonna get this manifold back in. Put a fresh gasket on the mani. Thread the vacuum line through. Let's get this support bracket installed.
T30.
Pair of T30s in there, okay. You're gonna slide, line her up. Okay, get these harnesses in their guide area there. Do that before you make any secure connections. Okay, thread in this jounce bumper.
On the top of the bracket.
All right, get our T30s. We got two fresh ones to account for the missing studs.
And that doesn't impact anything?
No, some cars have studs, some cars don't. I don't know what the difference is. So I just do this. I mean, does it guarantee not affect anything? I couldn't guarantee anything. But I will say I've seen a lot nicer vehicles than a Passat CPRA have no studs. I'm sure it's just for assembly purposes. All right, plug in the position sensor. Let's get these guys all plugged in. Connect this hose. All right, T30 for the fuel line support. All right, got that in. Everything's good there. We'll leave this unplugged momentarily. High pressure fuel line. Map sensor.
Oil filter going back in.
Got that oil filter on in there. We're going to leave this loose for now. Put our 13 on.
13 on top of the bracket.
All right. Let's tighten up this triple square 10.
What's that too?
That's the intake manifold support bracket. Very important to always replace or always reinstall that.
Reinstall it.
A lot of people think that's unnecessary.
And the purpose is
When the manifold gets hot,
it doesn't
it
sag.
doesn't let it sag and ruin the runner inside. Yeah.
Charge pipe going in.
Charge pipe lined up. T30. Plug in the boost pressure sensor.
Boost pressure sensor.
Get our settings. On here.
T25. What's the rears?
45's in the rear.
T45 in the rear.
Only had 4 of these. You don't want to be walking around the garage with a bunion like that. Yeah, you could really get hurt.
$7 mil for the
7
charge
mil
pipe.
for the charge. Plug in the throttle body here.
T30.
Oh, T30 here for the upper support. Okay, T30 right there. Air box.
Mark, what's your username?
Mark 18 GTO. Check the oil level before we start this thing. full. That's good. All right, let's fire it up. All right, there it is, water pump on a Passat CPRA engine code. If you heard that little tap, 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 tap on startup, that's a good indication you have a bad camshaft adjuster. Before you even broach this repair, what I recommend you do is an oil consumption measurement. Fill the car up with oil, well, get the oil you're gonna put in the car, weigh the amount of oil, write it down, drive the car about 1,000 miles, drain it out, weigh what comes out of there. If you're burning more than a quart, you probably need an engine. I would start by checking your valve guides, check the intercooler pipes, but 9 times out of 10, it's burning in the combustion chamber and you're pretty much toast.
I'm good.